Hello everyone, and welcome back to the tutor. In this video, I'll be discussing a topic I've been interested in covering for a while now, so I'm glad I'm getting the opportunity to talk about it. I'm hoping that you may find this topic engaging too, per chance, because I think it's pretty great. And that topic, of course, is fish. Earth's oceans are home to a huge variety of organisms, some of which are fish and some of which are not. This got me wondering, what exactly is a fish? Now, to figure out what a fish is, we first have to start with the definition, and there's three main problems with this. Problem number one, there is no clear definition for what a fish is. Depending on who you go to, you'll get definitions of fish that vary in how specific or how general they are. It's hard to find official criteria. National Geographic, for instance, states on their website that all fish share two traits: they live in water and they have a backbone. So based on this definition, there's two traits that make a fish. The Diversity of Fishes, a textbook, is a bit more specific, explaining that a fish is an aquatic vertebrate with gills and with limbs in the shape of fins. So here we went from 2 to 1, 2, 3, 4 criteria. Now, we can even go more specific. Lexico states that a fish is a limbless, cold-blooded vertebrate animal with gills and fins and living wholly in water. This level of specificity, or I guess you could say specificity, brings us to the second problem. Wow, that joke was really bad. I'll try to scale down the puns now. Problem number 2. There are exceptions to these definitions. Take the cold-blooded part of Lexico's definition. Oppas are warm-blooded fish and are able to regulate their body temperature. Or the living wholly in water part of the definition. The mudskipper is a type of amphibious fish that can spend a considerable amount of time on land. It's important to keep in mind, however, that exceptions to these definitions don't make them false. That's why they're the exceptions. Instead, they reveal how these fish have adapted to different environmental pressures. Now, maybe you could try to group fish based on a characteristic other than these. Perhaps we can try to group all fish based on their most recent common ancestor to see what classifies as a fish. And that brings us to problem number 3, which is there is no fish clade. A clade is a group of species that includes an ancestral species and all of its descendants. So a fish clade would include the most recent common ancestor to all fish and all of its descendants, which should all be fish. For instance, a clade for mammals would include the most recent common ancestor for all mammals and all its descendants. Now, I couldn't fit all mammals here, so there are just some examples, like the cat, dog, and platypus. Standard choices, you know. Now, if you were to try to group different types of fish, such as sharks and trouts, under a clade by their most recent common ancestor, you'd reach a problem. Many animals that are not considered a fish would also be descended from this common ancestor, like humans and all other mammals. In fact, the trout used in this example would be more closely related to humans than to sharks. So should humans be considered fish? Because of these issues, or fissues, fish isn't really a rigid classification and instead of a helpful term used by biologists to group organisms. However, this doesn't mean that anything is considered a fish. Even if something has fish in the name, it doesn't have to be a fish. For instance, jellyfish, starfish, crayfish, that's pretty crazy, cuttlefish, and shellfish like crabs are not considered fish because they are all invertebrates lacking a backbone. Whales and dolphins are also not considered to be fish either. Even though they would fall under our fish clade as discussed earlier, they are generally regarded as mammals instead. However, don't confuse dolphins with the dolphin fish, which is a fish. Oh, this is getting worse and worse. So, to answer the question, what is a fish? I don't know, it's up to you. Well, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this, make sure to subscribe for more science videos. If you like learning about fish that aren't fish, perhaps you'll like learning about berries that aren't berries. Until next time, I'll be waiting for you to come back to the tutor.